This is my first attempt at a eHarmony video. I'm nervous, but I'm excited at the same time. So I'm just gonna start talking about what I like. I love cats. I love every kind of cat. I just wanna hug all of them, but I can't hug every cat. Can't hug every cat. So anyway, I am a cat lover and I love to run. I'm sorry, I'm thinking about cats again. I really love cats. I'm thinking about cats again and again and again and again and again. I think about how many don't have a home and how I should have them. I think about how cute they are and how their ears and the whiskers and the nose. I just love them and I want them. And I want them in a basket and I want little bow ties. I just love them and I want them to be on a rainbow and in my bed. And I just want us to roll around, round. Sorry, I'm getting emotional. I love cats. I love every kind of cat. I just wanna hug all of them, but I can't hug every cat. Can't hug every cat. So anyway, I am a cat lover and I love to run. I'm sorry, I'm thinking about cats again. I really love cats, but I can't hug every cat. Can't hug every cat. Can't hug every cat.
Where on earth is Luna?
I can't believe she took off on us like that. And she calls me irresponsible. As if!
Luna is never irresponsible. Something must have happened to her.
Huh? Oh, hey, you guys! Check it out! It's the new Sailor V video game.
You're a classic.
How can you think about video games at a time like this? Zoocyte might come back after this poor kid
I can't
anytime.
believe she's a carrier of the rainbow crystal.
I know. Still, we gotta keep an eye on her.
Yes, gotcha! Oh, I'm so good at this.
It's close. It's very close. So come on out, you mangy fat flea bag, huh? It's warm. Rats! Ah! It's a wall of rats! Ah! Rats!
Hello and welcome back to MOONSTAR, a Sailor Moon podcast. I'm one of your hosts, Alex, and this week Chris and I will be covering the 27th episode of the Deke dub of Sailor Moon, also known as the 90s version of Sailor Moon, titled Kitty Chaos. Just a few announcements before we get into what is very likely many Sailor Moon fans' favorite episode ever, for good reason. There are several Sailor Moon related creative projects going on at the moment, both MOONSTAR related and otherwise, and for our projects you can find the links in the description of today's episode, or you can head on over to Casting Call Club and search for the project by title. Want to get involved but don't feel like voice acting is your thing? That's fine. There are several other ways that you can help. We are always looking for writers, artists, animators, video game developers, web designers, composers, and more. All of which are a huge asset to any creative projects team. If you have one of these skills and you want to help to add to the Sailor Moon fandom universe, just go ahead and submit your audition on Casting Call Club the same way a voice actor would. You can include a little voice clip just saying, why you want to be part of these projects, what you feel like you can offer them, and then include some links to your work for whatever would be relevant to what you're trying to, apply for the position. You get what I mean. Anyway, if you want to submit those via Casting Call Club and you don't see the exact skill that you have, you can just put it on any of the animator, writer, any of those, or you can send us an email directly, moonstarasmp@gmail.com. We are excited to announce our first Moonstar Spotlight featuring Kaosu Studios. What is a Moonstar Spotlight? That's a really good question. So, since we have had this platform for about a year now, and there are many other creative people in the Sailor Moon universe who came along long before we did, that we've actually been watching and, consuming their content as just a fan for years and years. We wanted to take our opportunity to elevate some of these creative people whenever we can, and what better way to do it than to give them a whole episode as if we were interviewing anyone, like a celebrity or a voice actor, whoever. So for us, Kaosu Studios is the perfect first Moonstar Spotlight special candidate because I think I referenced her AMV Monster very early on in the Moonstar, I think like the first couple episodes. And it's something that I've always watched. Like, I would come back to it whenever I needed to, like, I don't know, it makes me feel that thing. It's kind of hard to explain, but it's like a tingly connection. I don't know. It chills, just perfect timing and effects and whatever. So that's kind of how they caught my attention. And then I found their other projects like Sailor Moon Sacrifice, which you can learn more about on their special, and everything, will be there. But yeah, it just felt correct to have them as our first Moonstar Spotlight because we've been a fan of theirs for a long time, and we reached out to them, and they've been great, with us the entire time, very supportive. And yeah, I couldn't think of a better first guest. So thank you, Kaosu, for agreeing to do this interview and for coming on and having a really lovely conversation. It's all recorded and done, and we just gotta put it all together. That'll be out later this month for you guys. But you do get to meet Kaosu Studios today because, as coincidence has it, the episode we are covering today is their favorite episode of Sailor Moon, which does come up in the interview. So we're going to share that little clip with you now. So please enjoy a little preview of Kaosu Studios and Mai's conversation, specifically discussing today's episode, Kitty Chaos. I do want to talk a little about the episode, your favorite episode of Sailor Moon. Tell everyone which one that is.
All right, I don't know the episode number, but it was Love and Chased Luna's Worst Day Ever. It's probably the funniest episode I've seen, where Rhett Butler is the star of this episode, and he is my spirit animal.
Yes, Red Butler or Hercules if you're
Or
in the
Hercules,
beach.
yes.
And this was Kitty Chaos, which coincidentally is actually coming out like 2 days from, or actually tomorrow. Coming out tomorrow. But tell us why you love this episode.
The humor of it all, like in the beginning when Luna's getting chased by all these cats, and this is like little tiny cat biting her tail, like I lose my mind every time.
The teeth.
Yeah, the teeth. The animation is also gorgeous in this episode too. Even if it's meant to be, even if it is a comical episode, it's just beautiful to look at.
It really is. We talked a lot about that when we recorded the coverage of it. What are some of your favorite moments from this one?
One of my absolute favorites, of course, is Luna at the beginning. Second is Zoisite getting chased by the rats.
Which, by the way, did you know they're mice?
Are they? I thought they
They're
were
supposed.
rats.
Well, in the English, they changed them to rats in the.
Oh, okay.
I don't know why.
Confusion.
Yeah, because they look like mice,
Fair
not
enough, fair
rats.
enough.
They're like these little cute. They look like almost the really old bulky computer mice. Do you know what I mean? Like
Oh,
with
you're
the
right.
ball. Look like that. What else what other moments do you remember?
There was one part, just the girls, I think they were in that little girls' room, I forget her name, but like Usagi was like, oh my gosh, she's got the video game, she's got Sailor V. I'm just like, yes. That's my girl.
That's right.
And I think she starts playing it or
She
something.
does,
And
yes.
yeah, and everyone's like doing their senshi duties. She's just like, nah, this game's more important.
Exactly.
Ladies and gentlemen, you're Moon Princess, right?
That's what makes her so endearing.
Right.
Oh my
um,
gosh. Keep going.
Also, pretty much, it was it Venus or no? It's Jupiter. No, who showed up? Was it them on the bike that showed up?
Mars.
Mars, right, right. And just the fluidity of the animation, the direction of it, and of course my personal favorite, Hercules is our Rhett Butler's big old blushing face at the end scene. It just it's just the best episode.
Do you remember the first time you saw it?
Yeah, probably when I was a kid, when it was first airing in the 90s. It probably didn't have a huge impact on me back then. I probably just thought, oh, this is a really cool episode. But as I got older and as I started reviewing and watching the Sailor Moon footage almost every day, looking for stuff, that just this one always went in the back of my head, like this is the one for me. This is the one. If I'm ever having a bad day, I'll just pop this on and get
Oh
find a
yeah.
little joy in my life that day.
It's perfect for that. As far as season 1 goes, it's such a perfect episode because it's a convergence of some of the best animation in
Hmm.
season 1 with some of the best humor in
Yeah,
season 1 with a fantastic one episode character
yeah.
that is fleshed out without him ever saying a word. And we get a lot of character development with Luna, and we get a B story with Ray, who the whole episode is just like wandering around the city on her own, looking
I
for
forgot
dates.
about that. That's right.
She's like she's like essentially out trying to hook up or something. And then it just shows up on a bike to save these cats. And it's like if Sailor Moon didn't have to heal Hercules, they probably would have just had her be the only scout to do the battle, I think.
That's fair. Yeah.
So it's such a unique episode, and it's so freaking funny. Every beat is like hit perfectly. If you
Hmm.
guys are gonna watch, like if you're looking for an episode that will like just hit a whole bunch of notes all at once, Kitty Chaos, Love and Chase Luna's Worst Day Ever. That's episode 27 for the Deke, episode 31 for the Japanese or whatever other version you're watching, probably. What are your, let me ask you, just because we've covered all of your stuff, let me just ask you fan
Hmm.
questions now.
Sure.
All right, I hope you guys enjoyed that little preview, and I can't wait for you to hear the rest of that conversation because it was just really lovely to talk to another creative person in the Sailor Moon universe who just, we both love the same thing with the same amount of intensity, I feel like. So we got along really great, and I hope you guys will enjoy being, a fly on the wall for that conversation when that comes out later this month. Now we gotta just get into the show, because, we gotta. Alright, I'll see you at the end. Tell me about your week. Did you have any interviews since I talked to you last?
No, I haven't. I've just been out in the city doing stuff, and I'm sure it'll happen again pretty soon. I don't know who it'll be, but the next Fire Emblem Heroes update is in a few days, so I think it'll be all new characters.
Oh wow, so that's a whole new set of voices.
Usually, yeah. Sometimes there's several people in the mobile game that play 5 different characters.
Oh yeah, that's the way to go. I'm looking at my project that I'm casting for now and thinking okay, I'm gonna have to see if I can get some of these people to do a few more. Not anything that exciting going on here. I did discover a place to see drag nearby though that I didn't know about, so I'm gonna try and
nice.
go out. Yeah, I'm gonna see if I can get out this summer and see what the local scene is like here, because I haven't been out here yet. This is fun. I have a student who is very young and new, and like saw, because I do a prize box in my classroom, and it's a Sailor Moon lunchbox. And they saw that, and they're like, "Oh, my parents love that show. I watch it with them." And I was like, "Good family
cool.
alert." Right?
Yeah.
But she brought me the cutest picture of Luna ever. And this is like a 7-year-old. So it's literally like a purple coloring all over the front of the page. She did the gold moon on the thing and then a little cat face. And then she drew ears on the corner and folded it down and colored the back. So it has floppy ears like a real cat. I was like, this is cute. So yeah. I put that on my wall. And that's my second Sailor Moon art piece that I've gotten from students. I told you about the first one, right? It's the image for the first episode.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I love whenever that kind of stuff happens. That was kind of fun. Let's get into it. This episode is one of my favorite ones. I just have to say that. Yeah, it's so good. And this is the one where, if you think about it, remember I told you last time, this tape, for some reason, like this set of episodes eluded me.
Yeah.
Forever. And it's almost like, I think this is probably the best volume, like VHS volume of Sailor Moon, because you start with the one with the science lady, right? Which is already just inherently kind of interesting and good. And then, what was last week's episode again?
The Ray's grandpa.
Yeah, Ray's grandpa's episode. Another one. He's so fun, and you get to like learn a lot more about him. We get to meet Chad, so that's a really important moment. Then you have this one. And I just remember going through each one, and it's like, this one hit, and I was just like, this is insanity when I saw it the first time. And then right after this is Tuxedo Melvin. So it's just like 4 in a row that are really, in my opinion, some of the best ones, in season 1 at least.
Today on Sailor Moon, it's a little girl who's in Zoiside's targets, and all the alley cats of Tokyo are after Luna. Where is the rainbow crystal? Could Luna's fat feline friend be its keeper? Why don't you stick around, and we'll show you.
What is the actual Japanese title for this?
Loved and Chased, Luna's Worst Day Ever.
That's cute. This is Kitty Chaos in English, and I like both titles actually.
Yep.
What is the first thing we see this week?
It's this cinematic, goofy Disney movie-esque thing where Luna is being chased by a huge horde of street cats.
Why are they chasing her?
Well, once dialogue starts after that scene ends, it's revealed that it's like a turf war thing, and she didn't know anything about that.
Oh, really?
In the Japanese, yeah.
It's just because that little cat was on her tail in the English.
Oh, that makes more sense, I guess.
They cut out the turf war thing completely. That's interesting. Go on.
And when she's in that same beginning scene, when she's being cornered by this big horde of cats, then the centric character of the episode, a fat, like, funny-looking blue cat named Rhett Butler shows up, and there's a spoof of Tuxedo Mask saving Sailor Moon where he throws a fishbone and jumps down and saves her, and then that's the beginning of it.
Did I deserve this?
Yeah, I was gonna say, who comes to her rescue, which is this cat who's like, he looks a little bit like Grumpy Cat.
Huh? Now what?
But if Grumpy Cat was a short-haired cat, you said he's blue. I'm sort of colorblind. He looks like light gray or mint green to me.
I guess you could, like, any of those three, you could say.
Oh, okay. So it's just how you want to interpret it. But can you describe, like, the way his face looks?
Yeah, it's kind of sleepy and dopey looking. It's not ugly, but it's just it just looks kind of like a gag character, like a gag animal character in Sailor Moon, if those were thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he almost looks like a character who I think the reason that he works so well is because he's both ridiculous, but also has a lot of agency and is very serious at the same time.
You're right.
and that's why it's so great. Like when the little fishbone appears with the same music sting as Tuxedo Mask, I always forget that he does that, and it always makes me laugh out loud every time. And after the cats back off because of him, and it's revealed that this little one is chomping on her tail, he shows up, he kind of licks her tail, and then basically it's really obvious that he likes her. And who shows up and is the reason why him and Luna, separate here?
It's the owner of Rhett Butler, and at least in the Japanese, the little girl isn't really given a name.
Guess I didn't need that hair on my tail anyway. Thanks for saving me, but this up close and personal is going a bit too far.
Meow. Oh, Hercules, there you are. Meow. Oh, my sweet tweeny woody kitty.
Of course. What else are we to name a huge white cat?
I don't think they name her in English either.
Okay, yeah.
I think that was probably intentional, because it was supposed to be the whole idea is that the misdirect was everyone thinks she's the target, but it's really the cat. We see a short scene with the girls, and then it jumps over to Ray calling someone. Who is she calling, and why don't they answer?
She's calling Mamoru for going out on a date, and then he's home, but he's sitting out on his patio thinking about the rainbow crystals, and I don't know if it's probably different in English, but you can hear all the audio. It's subtitled in Japanese, and she the specific thing Ray is asking to do is she found out what tiramisu was, and she wants to go try that with him.
Oh, that's cute. I don't remember what the actual voicemail she was leaving was, but you could hear it.
Yeah.
And that reminded me about screening calls. Do you know what that is?
Yeah.
For people who might not, because it's a thing that was specific to when most homes had a landline and a voicemail that would play out loud as it was being recorded in your house.
Yeah.
Which I would say that died off about the mid, 2005 to 2010 is when it really started to disappear, and it's been gone ever since mostly. But what people used to do is there was no caller ID on your phone. You had to pay extra for that. And if they weren't sure who was calling them, because people still got scam calls and people used to call to sell you stuff randomly, they would just let it go to voicemail and listen to who was leaving a message. And then if they wanted to talk to you, they'll answer. And if not, they just ignore it. And I thought it was funny that Darian was essentially screening his calls and ignored Ray.
Huh?
Where's Ray?
Well, you see, she, is kind of busy today. See, because it's Saturday, she wanted to go on a date with Darian.
Hello, this is Darian.
Hi, Darian. It's me, Ray.
I'm not around right now. Please leave your message after the beep.
Oh, hi. It's Ray. I heard they've got this totally amazing chocolate sundae over at Flavor Factory, and I thought maybe you'd like to go try it with me. Would you like to come? If you haven't eaten yet, I mean, if you like...
Seventh rainbow crystal. I must find it. Can't let the Negaverse get it.
It's a little shady. But I think it was more supposed to be that he was preoccupied and not paying attention. Yeah. Have you ever screened calls before? Were you ever able to? Were you ever old enough to when it was a thing?
When I was old enough to be aware of phone calls and stuff, that wasn't really, at least in our house, it was already outdated technology.
Did you ever have your home phone number memorized?
Yeah, I still do.
Oh, okay. I still have my home phone number from when I was a kid. That magic is gone. It's like, it's weird not knowing anyone's phone number, like, by heart these days. All right. What does the Dark Crystal show Zoisite when depicting this week's target?
Well, since both the girl and the cat come up, he just assumes that it's with the girl. And it's the purple crystal.
It is, which is the final crystal as well, right?
Yep.
We see all the girls talking after this, and Amy's using her computer for something. Do you know what she's doing?
What are you doing, Amy?
I'm searching for the 7th rainbow crystal.
But the crescent moon wand isn't reacting at all.
Like, duh. That's why we're using the computer to try and find the thing before the Negaverse does. Get with the program, Serena. Oh.
Luna! I think it's found something. It's scanning the city.
Looks like the 7th rainbow crystal must be right there.
Yeah, it's in relation to the rainbow crystals. She's trying to search for it on a map nearby because the moonstick isn't responding, and then on the map it shows where the crystal is, and then they go there, and then it ends up being this like nice house of where the little girl and the cat live.
How does Luna figure out the cat lives here?
When they first all get there, she sees him in the window looking at her.
Yeah, it's like this funny shot of this big lump shape, and then it just zooms in on him, and Luna starts being all like weird about it. I was laughing here because when Serena notices Luna acting funny, she makes this like funny cat face with her hands, and it just kind of brought up a point I want to touch on now. I really love the animation in this episode. What do you think of it?
Yeah, I think one reason why I like it so much and why a lot of people like it so much too is because it's Ikuko Ito doing it.
I was going to say, I think it was probably her. But what was her first episode again? Do you know?
Yeah, the very first one that she did was the Chanela, like the evil mind controlling.
That's right.
Pet thing, right. Yeah.
Her style definitely stands out, and we see that here, like, pretty clearly. Especially coming from last week, which wasn't terrible, but it was like, I don't know. I can see why she became, the lead person. What is the reason why Luna gives them that she doesn't want to go into the house?
I wonder if it's different that, oh no, I guess maybe it is the same in English, because, Luna pretty much just says that, Ami says that, like, it's okay if Luna doesn't feel up for coming with us every time, and then Luna just kind of goes along with it, and then Usagi gives her crap one more time, and then they walk off.
Oh, no, it's different.
Okay.
She tells them that the cat has a crush on her, and then they're making fun of her for it, and I think Amy says something like, it's okay if Luna has fun, too. Like, which I thought was funny.
Well, let's do it. You guys go on. I'll wait here.
What's wrong, Luna?
Oh, nothing, but...
Luna, you're our guardian cat. We need you. It's your duty as our feline protector.
I know, but see, that cat up there, well, he's kind of got a crush on me.
Huh? What? Well, that's all right. Even Luna can sometimes be distracted from work.
Kitty loves swell.
Okay, Luna, we'll be right back.
See ya, scaredy cat.
All right. You just had to add in your 2 cents, didn't you, Serena?
And then after they go inside, what happens? And Luna's alone outside.
The same cats show up, and then well, I guess technically happens after the girl answers the door, but then Rhett, the cat Rhett, kind of gets a sense of that Luna is nearby, and then goes into lightning mode and zooms away and runs away to where Luna is.
Yes. And the animation here where we see Luna panicking with like all the cats above her and the sky is like dark and crazy.
Yep.
That was another moment that just stood out to me as like, oh, this is really well done and kind of a great choice here animation wise. The girls notice the crescent moon wand reacting when the girl answers the door holding the cat. And like we said before, who do they assume the crystal holder is?
The little girl, yeah.
Yeah. And then right from there, we get more with Luna, and she's like in a standoff with these two cats. And again, I made a note here. The animation is so good. All right. Who saves Luna this time, and how do they do it?
Oh, well, yeah. Like, Rhett saves her again. But he bites her, I guess, or some technically. And then he falls off the fence and into a sewer.
Yeah. So, in the English, his name is Hercules. And he grabs her by the scruff of her neck, which is, for people who don't know, you can safely lift a cat there because it's how their parents do it. Like, if your cat's ever stuck somewhere and you need to move them immediately, that's how you do it. Grab the scruff of their neck and pick them up. So he does that, but then he does, like, this weird backflip, cat acrobatics, up onto the thing. And, like, as you said, he falls down and they go into the sewers. And then we see the girls trying to find Zoisite. Where are they?
Yeah, so, well, when the little girl runs off, she runs into this alley, and there's a great little sequence of Zoisite falling from the sky down onto her from an angle, and then the girls hear girls screaming, and then they run over there, and then Zoisite is using the black crystal to extract, and then he realizes that nothing's happening, and then that's when the rest of the girls show up.
Such a sweet child, totally unaware of the treasure inside her. Now, the seventh and last rainbow crystal will be mine. What? Why doesn't that crystal appear? Oh no, it's that ridiculous cat that's got the crystal. Well, of course. I should have known the precious seventh rainbow crystal's inside an obese alley cat.
And when they show up, they're all crammed into this tight little area, right? And
yeah.
they're sort of trying to fight, but can you walk through what happens here?
Yeah, it's just they can't, like, with where they are, they can't move around much at all. And then by the end of it, when Jupiter is going to use Supreme Thunder, the Ami and Usagi freak out and tell her that they would just all hurt themselves if she'd use that. And then Zoisite just kind of scoffs and decides not to engage with them and then disappears.
Yeah, and there's actually a scene during this part that made it into the English that surprised me, where Amy sort of tries to do her bubbles and then falls forward, and you see Lita, or Makoto, looking up her, well, as Jupiter, I guess, looking up her skirt and blushing and stuff, and I'm shocked that they didn't cut that out.
There she is! I'm Sailor Mercury, and I order you to leave that girl alone!
I'm Sailor Jupiter! Back off, Dweezil!
I'm the one you should be afraid of! I'm Sailor Moon!
How perfectly annoying.
So! Sailor Moon, you cunts, get out of my face!
Bunch of goofs. A triple threat, the three Sailor Stooges.
Huh?
Witch, how dare you! I won't let you leave! Jupiter!
Yeah, we'll all get electrocuted!
Yeah, so
Considering, like, all the other rules, they don't reference it directly, but I think it might have been one of those things that they, like, there had to be some stuff that they were like, let's just, like, not say anything about this and see if we get it through. You know, and that, because I'm sure with network and stuff, there's, like, final approval or whatever. And that seems like one of those moments, because it's very, for their tone, it's way more salacious than they usually let it get. Did that stick out to you at all?
not so much to me, just because I'm watching a completely different version than you are, so it's just kind of like a par for the course thing.
I was gonna say stuff like that probably happens more regularly than I'm remembering. Yeah. I still thought that was interesting though. And then, and the other reason why is because I remember a friend pointing that out to me when I was younger, and I didn't get why she was so like obsessed with that part because I was like not paying attention, I guess, properly. But as an adult looking back, I'm like, oh, she was lesbian. That's why. That's why that part was so exciting to her. Now it clicks. So yeah, we all have our own weird LGBT avenues to this show, I guess. After this scene and Zoisite gets away, Zoisite ends up in the sewer going after the target, which she now realizes is the cat, right?
Yeah.
And then we cut to a shot of Luna passed out on top of Hercules, and that's where they like go to the commercial break here. And we come back, and the girls are doing what?
They're back in the little girl's room and trying to figure out where the crystal is, and then Usagi isn't paying attention because there's a Sailor V game, video game in the girls' room, and they also, or at least Ami and Makoto, expressed that Luna might be in trouble, and that's that whole scene.
Yeah, we even see Serena start playing it on the TV, which was a detail I loved because they do that a lot in this show where you like get to see the characters participating in media, like watching TV, using telephones, stuff like that. And for some reason, I feel like that doesn't happen in anime all the time. It's just like a detail I enjoy about it. We cut back to the sewers, and what's going on here?
Zoisite is crawling through a smaller area of the sewer, and he's getting excited because the crystal detector is going off more quickly and like vibrating more, an indication that the rainbow crystal is close by. And then he puts his hand on the wall, and it's warm and soft, and then it's revealed that it's a bunch of mice. And then he freaks out, and there's this great like still shot of him being revealed that he's surrounded by mice. It's very, I don't even know if you would really know, but it's I think it's kind of a callback to like 60s, 70s horror anime and manga. And then he just freaks out and starts running, and the mice are trailing after him in a big like card. They don't look scary at all. It's just like a big like they're all orb shaped with little red eyes.
They look like toys to me, I wrote.
Yeah.
And they changed them to rats, which I was thinking they look more like mice, and that's because they are. But I thought they were cute, and I still think that many would be awful, but they were kind of cute. And I thought also the way they animated Zoisite there in the darkness with the crystal before she finds the rats was like especially cool. There's something about like the glowing lighting that they did there.
Yep.
That just stuck out to me as like a unique moment. What is the reference for the horror anime?
It's nothing specific. It's just from when I've read them, because horror manga got a big boom in the late 50s and 60s, and it was just a lot of scenes and stuff. It wasn't, a lot of them weren't that intense. It was just when a character would discover something, it would cut to a shot that would look really similar to Zoisite being surrounded by the mice, and then there'd be a pause so you could see all the art, and then the character would react to whatever was going on. So it was like an intentional delay of just a showcase.
Oh, the style, you mean?
Yeah.
Oh, I get what you're saying. If I saw it again, I'd probably know it, but it did seem like a very specific choice.
Yeah.
Because it was very different. After that moment, so in this episode, we kind of uniquely for Sailor Moon have a very clear A and B story. Do you know what that means?
Yep.
For people who might not, I learned the term through learning about sitcoms, where like the A story is your primary story, like the main point of the episode, and then the B story is like a second storyline that's going on to kind of fill in gaps or be supportive or add usually comedic value or whatever. And in this case, our A story is Luna and the cat and the crystal. What's our B story?
Yeah, I suppose, I mean, it's not huge, but obviously it's what the things that Ray is doing with her day since she didn't go with everybody else.
Yeah, and something to me they did that visually signified that her part was like more significant is that they put her in an outfit she doesn't usually wear.
Yep.
So they had to animate her a special way. Can you describe her outfit?
Yeah, it's this nice kind of, I guess, fancy, more fancier, like orange dress, like orange-brown dress.
Yeah, she looks like she's out on a date or something, but she's alone.
Yep.
When we see her again now, she's walking down the street in her little orange outfit. She looks extremely fancy, and then Chad shows up. And this is like the reason I was talking about the B story is because without stringing all of her moments together, this scene feels very strange. I think the purpose of it is showing us that her life is more separate from the girls than the rest of them.
Yeah.
Because she goes to a different school, right?
Yeah.
And she is just naturally more of a loner. I don't know. But what happens with this scene between Chad and Ray?
Rats. Here I wasted my entire day looking for stupid Darian. Love sure can be boring sometimes.
Hey, Ray!
Huh? Oh, Chad, hi! Did Gramps finally give you some time off from your training at the temple?
Oh, yeah, he sure did. I'm not doing anything special, but would you like to go for a burger?
Huh? He is kind of a hunk, but I gotta play hard to get.
Right, of course. Dumb me, a popular major cool babe like you would probably already be booked solid, right?
Well, kinda.
Oh, yeah, well, I thought so. See you, Ray.
Hey, wait! Where are you going? Boy, sure can't play hard to get with him. Well, tomorrow's another day.
He shows up and I guess he does basically ask her to spend time with him, but then when she doesn't clearly answer right away, he says that, oh, well, a girl who looks like you probably doesn't have much free time, and then she just kind of goes along with it, and then he walks away, and then she kind of half-heartedly goes after him, but then just lets him go, and then I'm sure it's pretty clear to see in the English version too, but they're both standing where they're standing against a wall on the street are two posters of a olden time movie, there's a man and a woman and separate posters, and then when Yuichiro walks away in the Japanese, Ray says this is just like Gone with the Wind.
I need to look for those because that would be a nice detail to take a screenshot of. I didn't notice that actually, but I think that's cool because it's sort of like it's supposed to be, I guess, setting the tone for their relationship without. It's like an Easter egg. Like if you see it, you know what that means. I love that they add stuff like that in here. After their scene together, which was pretty much the same in English, instead of saying a girl that looks like you, he's like, you're probably too busy for me anyway. And then she kind of mumbles something and he's just gone. But we cut back to Hercules after this and he's injured. And Luna is sort of like, at first, so what is Luna's, I guess, emotional journey with him from the beginning of the episode until now?
She's turned off by him, but she's progressively warming up to him when, in that scene that is happening right now, when she says, oh, did you hurt yourself all for me? And then he doesn't say anything. It just shows him blushing. And then, Zoocyte shows up with all the mice, running after him. And, then Luna and Rhett end up squeezing into an even smaller pipeline of the sewer, and then Zoocyte does too, but then he ends up getting enveloped by all the mice.
Yeah. So in the English one, Luna actually asks him if he helped because he likes her, and that's when he blushes, so they made it a little more clear. And yeah, we cut back to Zoocyte with the rats in this version of it. And the thing I noted about this moment was when Zoocyte goes in after them into this space, he or she, however you want to, depending on your version, but it looks like an eel, like you know what I mean? Yeah. Like wiggling into something. It was so funny the way that they animated that moment, and it made the space look really tiny. And then they go in there, and he's able to crawl on all fours.
Yeah.
So it was bigger inside, but it looked super tiny, and I was like, is he gonna even make it out of there? But yeah, I thought that was a funny moment. And I wrote, this is truly one of the most ridiculous scenes in Sailor Moon, but also one of the best.
What's happened to your leg? It's injured. You hurt it when you fought off all those alley cats for me, didn't you? Why did you risk hurting yourself to help me, I ask? Is it because you like me? Oh, stupid question. Huh? There he is! It's Zoisite! This time I'm getting that crystal! You're the one with the last crystal! Come on, big guy, move it! She won't be able to follow us in here! You can't get away! Suck it in! But you never turn down food! Come on, Hercules, live up to your name! I'm catching up! The crystal's mine, I'm almost there, but also with the rats! Come on, faster! You probably don't like the D word, but dieting might not be such a bad idea. Finally, the exit.
It's just so... You have to watch it and experience it just to know how great it is. I don't know. But Luna and Hercules make it out of the sewers. And who spots them?
Ray sees them first, because she is just leaning over a little bridge overpass area, and then she's like, oh, Luna's with her boyfriend, and then that's when the big horde of mice explode out of the sewer, and then Zoisite like comically rises up, and he's still enveloped by them, but he's not afraid of them anymore, and then they part a little bit just to show his eyes, and then he's like floating over Luna and Rhett.
Mm-hmm. I wrote that it was the way the rats exploded out, or the mice of the sewer, was funny, and then we got a great reaction shot from Ray to that. I loved how they had her get so funny over that.
What a dimbob I am! I wasted the whole day! Huh? There's Luna! Who's that humongous cat she's with? Huh? Oh, what's going on?
And yeah, I also, the thing with Zoisite being enveloped by the rats was funny, because it looks like it's intentional and like meant to be a disguise, and then they kind of like disappear. The way they did that was so hilarious. We finally cut back to the girls, and at this point, the Crescent Moon one has stopped reacting, and they finally figure out who the target is. And I wrote, wow, Amy, come on. Like, because it felt like for the genius of the group to take that long to figure it out was a little silly. But then we wouldn't have had the episode, so plot devices. And we cut away from them again. Like, it's so fun. There's a lot of back and forth in this episode, I'm noticing. But we see Hercules being bounced onto his back by the rats, which was sort of funny, the way they animated that. And then who shows up to save the cats here?
Mars shows up, and she does her own introductory thing and says that she's not going to let Zoisite interfere between our relationship, even if it's with animals. And then Zoisite just kind of ignores that, and then uses the black crystal on Rhett and turns Rhett into a monster cat.
As far as I know, this is the first time we see a solo intro from Mars. Is that right?
Yep. And that the very end animation when she's pointing, that's also reused in later seasons and stuff whenever she does that again.
Mars Fireballs charge! Get ready to rumble, Queen Rat!
Yeah, who's that? Show your face if you dare.
I am Sailor Mars, champion of the Lovelorn, and I say, leave those cats alone! Even cats have the right to love!
How embarrassing. Mars, stop!
The fires of love are burning. The fire of justice is burning. I won't let anyone destroy a person's, no, even a kitty's chance at romance. I will punish you on behalf of the planet Mars.
Pathetic.
It is. I'm remembering it from Sailor Moon R right now. Yeah, I was going to say that they do end up throwing something that becomes sort of like a stock intro in there. I liked her little speech. It was a little hokey pokey in the English, and I think Luna comments on that too. And we see, like you said, Zoisite takes the crystal, and Hercules the cat looked like he was in pain here, and it made me sad because it's a cat and I love cats. And I think that kind of feeling, they knew people were going to feel like that.
Yeah.
And that's why everything plays out the way it does after this. But what is the monster? What does he turn into?
It's just this pretty much it's drawn pretty well. It's a monstrous version of a cat. It's like a tall, hulking with more demonic looking eyes and big claws. Yeah, it's one of the more straight up monster looking monster of the days in Sailor Moon.
Yeah. It reminded me a little bit of Monster Rancher in the design, for people who know that reference.
Oh, yeah.
But also the way he walked standing up, and then his front paws kind of hung down a little bit more gorilla-like than a cat would. And he had, like, a necklace thing that it was like wood pieces hanging down. I don't know. He was cool looking enough. But Luna moves in front of him to stop him and then falls down. And what happens?
She thinks that the Yoma is going to attack, and then all he does is end up saving her, like lifting her up in one of his palms, and then Luna says that, Sailor Moon will return you back to normal pretty soon, and then nothing happens, like he doesn't react, and then that's when Mercury and Jupiter show up.
Yeah. And they open with the bubbles, and I put probably because it's the most gentle way to, like, do this and weaken him, because they technically have to. And then Jupiter comes in, and at first I thought she was going to kick him because of the way the animation was, but she actually ends up sort of sliding underneath and grabbing Luna and getting her out of there safely without hurting him. And there's, like, this random moment where this was, like, shoehorned in, where, like, Mars and Moon have to argue for a second, I guess. And then we get, the Moon healing escalation. And I think, like you were saying, or like I was saying before, they did this because they knew people aren't going to want to see that character get hurt in any way.
Yeah.
And I think it was important to have a character who completely breaks through the Dark Crystal mentally. And having it be a cat was smart. Because if it was a human, I think it would have been like, why that one?
Yeah.
Why is whoever so special, But because it's this ridiculous cat character, it's like, yeah, of course. Why would he, do anything bad? And I just put a little list of unique notes here about Hercules or Rhett. And it is that he never attacks in his monster form. He acts to protect Luna while still a monster. And because of this, he also never gets directly damaged by any of the Sailor Scout attacks, unless you consider Bubbles to do small damage, because he never attacks them. So there is no reason to. And despite all of that, it's one of my favorite battle sequences, actually. Because it shows that, like, it's like this battle shows that the girls put thought into what they're doing.
Yeah.
And you know what I'm saying? And so there's that aspect of it, but it also shows that the creators of the show also have that level of awareness where it's like, we have to change this up somehow You know what I mean? And show that, like, they're not going to react the same to absolutely every situation. And I think this was a great way to do it.
Yeah.
Plus, the comedy in this episode is 10 out of 10. I think, anyway. Before we do the Sailor Says, let's rate it, because we forget all the time. You go first.
Well, there's other stuff that happened first.
Is there? What did we miss?
Yeah, there's just little stuff. There's
Go through it.
There's Tuxedo Mask showing up to take the crystal, and
right.
It's weird because it's the way that it's animated. It's like he's moving really slow to pick it up, and Zoisite doesn't really do anything about it. And then Zoisite just runs after him, and then you don't see either one of them again for the episode. And then the way the episode ends is kind of getting a different feeling about Rhett. And there's this really cute end card that I think is like a homage to really old like mid-1900s romance drama films where she's on a grassy hill with a tree that overlooks a valley, and then it's a sunset, a beautiful sunset visual, and then then Rhett shows up and blushes, and then she makes like a exasperation sound, and that's how it ends.
I forgot about that. I was writing when that part happened,
okay.
I think. But you're right. I love the ending, and it's very cute, and it makes me a little sad that we don't see him again.
I know.
The cat. Because he would be one that I think everyone would welcome back.
Yeah.
To make a cameo here or there. I wonder, why do you think they animated that part with Tuxedo like that?
I don't know. I'm sure it didn't really mean anything. But I guess I was just, even though I had seen this episode before and I remembered everything that happened, I was just surprised that it's like the only instance where any other time in an episode where there's been an interaction between Zoisite and Tuxedo Mask involving the crystals, that you would think that in the final one, like this one, that there would be more of something, but I don't get why there's just not at all this time.
True. That is sort of weird. But I think maybe we'll see in the next episode, like maybe it's the beginning of it or something, you know? Maybe they wanted to split up like that. Because this one also did start immediately with action again. So that's 2 in a row that they started in that way. Because they did the same thing, I think, with the Grandpa episode.
Right.
What do you give this episode?
I'd give it a 5.
Same. 5 out of 5 stars. I think it's our first double 5. So that makes it extra special. And what about it makes it, we've sort of already said, but what about it makes it 5 out of 5 for you?
For me, I mean, I'm sure it's probably the same for you, but it's animated so well, and I think it wouldn't be that well if it wasn't a combination of Ikuko doing the character design and then Ikuhara directing it. I think that Zoisite also looks... I mean, he looks good in a lot of art styles for season 1, but I think Zoisite looks the best in her art style because of his whole androgynous look. Yeah, the whole breaking the mold of not being a usual Sailor Moon episode at all, and the fact that it's an animal, and I think it's the only case in the whole entirety of the show that there is an animal that is like the episode, the episodic featured character that turns into a monster. Yeah, it's a combination of all that stuff.
Yeah, I would say the closest thing we have, probably other than character development episodes for Luna and Artemis and all that, would be the one in S where there's all those stray cats in the house, and Usagi's trying to get all of them to adopt the cats. But then the monster in that one is a puzzle of a cat.
Oh, the Neko Nell, yeah.
Yeah, which, again, it's like, I think the cats were, like, kind of a character, but it was more the girl who was taking care of them, because she was the target of the Heart Snatchers there. I would say, yeah, pretty much the same reasons as you. I think the animation helps sell the comedy in this a lot, in a way where if it was done by another animator, I think it would have landed as, like, a 3.
Yeah,
you know?
Yeah.
It would have been okay. But it helps sell the comedy a lot. And I think some of the choices they made in this one like having a B story was smart because we don't always get that. Having it be Ray, where we get character development with her, if you're paying attention. We get character development with Luna a lot in this episode. But then we also see more of the girls' relationship to Luna and how each of them treat her differently, you know? So there's just like, if you really pay attention, while this episode is hilarious, you're learning a lot about the characters here too.
Yeah.
So, double 5 stars. Just a couple of final random notes on here from the wiki. This is the first and last appearance of the monster Bakane. I don't think they name him. Or Bakane. Is that how you say it?
Yeah, but yeah, it doesn't have a... They never say the name of it in Japanese either.
Yeah, and he's technically one of the champions of the Negaverse, the Seven Shadows. Tuxedo Mask gets the purple crystal this episode, and all 7 rainbow crystals have been revealed. And our tally is Zoisite has 4, Tuxedo Mask has 2, and the Sailor Scouts have 1. They're not doing so hot, apparently. I didn't realize that it shook out like that at this point. That's pretty bad.
Yeah.
Zoisite hates rats or mice. That's another note they gave us. Okay. And this is a Luna episode, obviously. And then a couple things before we talk about the Sailor Says. I just made a note of the cast here. And I wanted to see if any of these names stick out to you. The person who did the cats predominantly was David Fraser. Do you know who that is?
No.
Okay. Kristen Bishop, that's Zoisite. Steven Bednarski, we said already, he's Chad. We got introduced to him last week. And somebody named Tony Daniels did several of the Alley Cats along with the monster. Do you know who Tony Daniels is?
Yeah, I think he's one of the, isn't he also one of the generals?
Let me see if he shows up again.
I'm pretty sure he does. Well, he did a bunch of Monster of the Day. Yeah, he was Jedi and Wise Man.
Oh, okay. That's why I recognize him. But then some of the other cats were Julie Lemieux. I can't say it. E-U-X.
She was,
Lemieux.
Yeah, Julie was, she played, young Mamoru in the R movie and also Peteru.
Okay. Oh, I like her. David Fraser, we said already. John Stalker.
He played Ray's grandpa.
Oh, that's cute. I love that he got to do a cat. And then Kathleen Lasky.
That was she played Unazuki, or Matoki's sister.
Oh, okay. I know who you're talking about. I was like, who? The girl who works in the diner, right?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So, yeah, I just thought that was sort of fun. I like to see who gets to do the random parts. Wendy Leon was the little girl this week. I don't know who she is.
She was the, before, well, I think, because Queen Serenity was prominently Barbara Radecki, who also played Neptune, but Wendy was technically her first voice, or she filled in some scenes for Queen Serenity.
Oh, okay. Because I noticed her voice does change a little sometimes. And then for those who want to know the main people right now, we have Terry Hawks is still the voice of Sailor Moon. Karen Bernstein does Sailor Mercury. Susan Roman as Sailor Jupiter. Toby Proctor as Tuxedo Mask. Katie Griffin for Sailor Mars. And that's the main cast from this week. Because I know some people want to know that.
Luna's gotta be one of my very best friends, but keeping pets is more than furry hugs and cuddles. If you love your pet, you want to give him or her good nutritional food.
And make sure they get all the shots they need from your veterinarian.
And don't let them wander into the street where they can get hit by a car.
There are so many unwanted pets in the world. Talk to your parents and your animal's vet about getting your pet spayed or neutered. Luna says.
Bye-bye!
The Sailor Says was basically about getting your pets spayed and neutered because we have a huge problem with stray animals in this country. And by this country, I guess it means Canada and North America, because it was played in both places. Yes? I don't know. This is very, there's not a lot to say about that. What do you think?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's... Instead of talking about whether or not you should properly take care of your animals, which we can all agree on. Have you ever had any pets?
Just 2. When I was really young, we had a black and white cat, named Tuxedo. And then when I was like, probably from when I was in late elementary school and then up until my senior year in high school, we had a cockapoo dog named Hudson.
Hudson.
Hudson is the town that I lived in and went to high school.
Okay. That's a cute name for a dog, though. And of course, Tuxedo for the cat. You have to. Have you ever had a pet on your own as like an adult?
No. I would love to have something like a chinchilla or a rabbit, but I don't know if I would commit to it. Maybe I would I'd prefer maybe like looking after somebody's for a week or something at the most.
And to see how you like it. Yeah, that's smart. Rabbits are a lot of work, and they can hurt themselves.
Yeah.
And they're dirty, and they smell. But they're cute. They're very cute. Enjoy them. I like seeing them in my backyard.
Yeah.
Chinchillas are great. I knew someone who had a sugar glider once. I don't know I don't know how appropriate that is. I just know they had one. But it seemed nice and happy. I don't know. There's all kinds of cute little animals. Although, when you say chinchilla, I immediately thought of that episode you talked about earlier.
Yeah.
So make sure you don't get a possessed one. But, for pets, I don't know. I love cats. I love dogs. Dogs are a little loud for me to have around all the time, but I get along with them in public. Do you know what I mean? Like, I love seeing them when they're not at my house.
Yeah.
I've lived with a dog before for several years with a roommate, and I don't know. The difference between cats and dogs to me is like, if you're getting a dog, you're someone who's like, if I could just find something that would crawl up my ass and stay there forever, that would be great. That's like what a dog is, where it's up in your business all the time. It's a lot more similar to having like a real human kid, I think, than a cat is.
It can be, yeah.
Because they're way more high maintenance in a lot of cases. Unless it's like an older dog, maybe. I think they can be a lot calmer, But that's sort of been my experience with dogs, is like, it's all about the dog all the freaking time.
Yeah. There's been a couple times where I was getting together with a guy and like doing intimate stuff with like a new guy that I was meeting, and they had small enough dogs that, could easily be handled and picked up, and then they were spoiled enough or whatever that they like had to be on the bed with the owner like at like all times, and it would interrupt what we were doing pretty regularly.
It's awkward when that happens, and I think it's sort of a symptom of like, I love other people's dogs and I want to interact with them, but there's also boundaries.
Right, totally.
And a dog doesn't know boundaries because it's a dog. So you have to be the one to set them as the human. And some people don't know how, But I do think dogs provide a lot of really important companionship and stuff like that, and can be really therapeutic too. For me personally, in my home, though, I just need to be able to like I couldn't do this if I had a dog yapping in my background. You know what I mean?
Yep.
I need to be able to focus and do all that. When it comes to cats, I think they have a huge misinterpretation, because I love you dog people. Y'all are loud, and you know it. And you love to say how dogs are superior and how cats are whatever. But I think a lot of people who feel that way have never like actually gotten to know a cat before, because cats have such uniquely different personalities. And the difference with a dog and a cat is like, and this is terrible, but you can kind of not be that great to a dog and it'll still really love you.
Yeah.
With a cat, like, they respond to the energy you give them. If you are sweet and loving and attentive to a cat, they will be that way with you.
Yeah.
If they're just there because you're like, well, I wanted an animal, and now it's like this annoying smelly thing that I feed sometimes. You know what I mean? Like, they know that you don't really care.
Yeah.
So they're not going to be that cute with you, And I've been really lucky with all the cats I've had have been very interesting in their personalities, very different from one another. And I've learned a lot from having pets, over the years. If you had to, this will be the last pet question. if you had to pick a name for your next pet, whatever it is, right now, and you are allowed to change this when you get an animal, but just right now, what would you name it?
I'd probably name it after maybe something from Sailor Moon or a character from Fire Emblem or Genshin Impact or something like that, like Seliph, which is the character that I have tattooed on me, or Byleth or something like that.
That's cute. It's fun because then you can also, depending on how long the pet lives, like the further you go, you're like, oh, I named them that because that was so important to me at the time. And then it's like, you know what I'm saying? Because I got a cat when Lady Gaga was like just first exploding. And for people who might not know, that was kind of exciting for LGBT people because the climate was not like it is today.
Yeah.
And she was one of the first mainstream artists that was so like aggressively pro LGBT to the point where it was like in every song, it was in every video.
Yep.
And I was so like, oh, I think we're going to actually see some progress here in the next 10 years or so. And I think she's going to be kind of part of the catalyst for it. And I was like, I'm going to name my cat after that, you know? And I didn't call him Lady Gaga or whatever, but I chose a reference to her. And I still think she's great, you know, and everything. But 13 years later, I'm not like obsessively.
Yeah.
It's different, you know, you get older. And like musical artists are not the like deities they feel like when you're young, you know? But yeah, I don't know. Pets are such a unique experience. And I for some reason, I feel like our listeners are probably mostly pet people in some way, I would say. All right. Do you want to add anything here for this episode?
No, I guess that's... Yeah, I think I've expressed everything that I feel and know about it. There is... I have to find them, but there is some cell gallery I've seen online where they have a collection of a bunch of Rhett Butler cells. I have to figure out who that is again.
Rhett Butler, as in from
the cat from this episode.
That's his name. Oh, that's what Rhett Butler. You're right. Okay, sorry. That's also a character in Rainbow Bright. So I'm like, what?
Oh,
I'm like mixing fantasy worlds here.
But I don't remember who that is, but I remember seeing that they have a bunch of cells just of him.
If you find it, can you link it to me and I'll like post it or I'll reference it or whatever? Because I love when people can go off and find that kind of stuff. Okay, yeah. I would just wish my one criticism is that I wish the Sailor Says was better, only because that kind of message is like more for parents. Like the 8-year-olds are not the ones doing that anyway.
Yeah.
So I was just kind of like, I think we could have found a better message here. But whatever. Still gets 5 out of 5 for me. All right. Anything you want to add at the end for other stuff, like coming up stuff, or
no.
Find you?
Well,
Why don't you actually, you know what? Plug an interview that happened anytime in 2023 that you felt was like just especially fun.
Oh, okay. Let me just look at what I've done so far. Earlier this year, one of the voice actors I've done is Caitlin Robrock, who is predominantly known for being the current voice of Minnie Mouse since I think it was either during COVID or right before COVID, up till now. And interesting, she was in Fire Emblem, is in Fire Emblem, and she plays 3 characters, and she was credited under a completely alias name that is nothing. Elizabeth Simmons is what she went by, and she said in our interview that she was told by somebody early on that she's been doing voiceover for like 20-something years, that she doesn't have the right voice to be in like anime or anime video games. And what led her to finally reveal the credit as under her real name is she's a main character in the latest console Fire Emblem game on the Switch that came out in January. And the fan response to that character that she plays, Chloe, is what led her to be finally embrace like that it's her and not use an alias credit anymore. So it was really great to be her first interview since being open about that, since there's really... She was one of the only people in Fire Emblem that used the alias that people had like absolutely no idea who was playing these characters.
That is so funny that she felt the need to do that because someone ignorant said something like that to her. You know what I mean? And that's, I think, in that story, one of the greatest lessons is if you're someone who's a creative person or you're trying to pursue something in a field that is very subjective, you know what I mean? Anyone who's telling you, you don't have the whatever for this because blah, that's one person's opinion, and very likely they're correct in their projects. You probably aren't right for their projects because they've made it clear they don't like you. But that doesn't mean that everyone's going to feel that way. And I don't think it's worth taking on one person's opinion in that situation, whether it is valid or not for that specific project, and then like letting it define how you act, you know? And I'm glad, and I think it is really special that you got to be the first interview where she was open about that, because it probably took a lot for her to get there and to feel comfortable with it. And the fact that you got that story as a journalist, like, people getting the scoop or whatever, or like being the first one to break a story is usually a really big deal in the world of journalism, you know?
Yeah.
So that's something that other people probably wish they had, and you may not even know that, you know? So I actually think that's really cool. You guys should go listen to that. Say her name again.
Caitlin Robrock.
Yeah, and, you know, screw anyone who tells you you're not good enough to do what you want to do, because they don't know your capabilities. They're basing that opinion on, like, what, at the most, a 15 to 30 minute interaction.
Yeah.
You know, so I think she's a great example of, like, just do it anyway, and don't let that stuff get in your way, even if it knocks your confidence. You know, although using the alias might have been smart, because she may not have said this, but in my mind, if I'm her, I'm thinking there's already a guy out in the industry who has me kind of blacklisted, right? Saying I'm not good enough. So any project he has any connection to, even if it's like him being friends with the casting director, if he sees my name come across the table, he's going to say something, you know? Yeah. Using an alias totally circumvents that.
Yep.
So that's pretty smart on her, if that was why she did that. And then revealing it after, she's like, oh yeah, and I've done all this, and bam, what? You know, that's kind of fierce. So everyone should go check that out for sure. On your YouTube channel, the video version has been up for a while. And if you do that, comment on it and say you came from the show. Like, so he can see it. I want you guys to start doing that. All right, we'll end the show there. And I'll touch base with you about if I need you.
Cat, I'm a kitty cat, and I dance, 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 and I dance, dance, dance. Cat, I'm a kitty cat, and I dance, 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 and I dance, dance, dance. Cat, I'm a kitty cat, and I dance, 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 and I dance, dance, dance. Cat, I'm a kitty cat, and I dance, 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 and I dance, dance, dance. Cat, I'm a kitty cat, and I dance, 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 and I dance, dance, dance. Cat, I'm a kitty cat, and I dance, 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 and I dance, dance, dance. Bedroom rocket to bouncing, bedroom rocket to bouncing.
That's it for this week's episode of Moonstar, a Sailor Moon podcast. Can you believe it? Our first double 5-star rating. Possibly triple if you include Kaosu's vote too, which I might. But that definitely secures Kitty Chaos the first spot in our Moonstar Hall of Fame. Hercules, Hercules. Like what you heard today? Let us know in a 5-star review, please. Wherever you get your podcasts, it is the best way you can support the show. And just some final reminders. All those interested in participating in any of the Sailor Moon projects going on, check today's episode description for details and links. And as always, Moonstar is sponsored in part by Sailor Moon Video. Shop authentic collectible 90s Sailor Moon VHS and DVD today at www.sailormoonvideo.com. Use offer code Moonstar for 15% off. Follow Sailor Moon Video on YouTube today. How many Moonstars would you give How many Moonstars would you give Kitty Chaos? Sound off in the comments wherever you like. We love to see it. And here we go. For more of Chris, you can find him on Instagram and YouTube at Chris Mayek, ChrisMayek. For more of me, Alex, you can find me on Instagram at Alex Summers, SFE. Don't forget to follow Moonstar's Facebook page for the most up-to-date content. Also, check out moonstarpod.com for free bonus content. Moonstar, a Sailor Moon podcast, is intended for informational, educational, and entertainment purposes only. We do not claim any ownership over the music, audio clips, and sound effects used during the creation of this show. All licensed and copyrighted materials belong expressly to the license and copyright holders.
Hercules, you remember? That cute little girl who loves you so much? And how you saved me, remember? I've got a friend. She'll change you into the cat you were before.
He remembers. There's still goodness in him. Hey guys, it's about time. Jupiter!
We're all here.
Yeah, and about time. What's your lame excuse this time?
Sorry, I was late too. It's not just her.
Well, we were waiting and Serena wanted to finish the Sailor V game.
Mars, relax. This isn't Serena's fault. Haha, but it wouldn't be a normal day without her nagging me.
Guys, stop it. We've got more important things to worry about.
Huh? Right.
He'll be okay.